Today we are going to go right through the Bogner Ecstasy Classic. Check out my videos, my other videos on all the other Bogner amps. I'm a big fan of these amps. Love the way they sound, really love the flexibility. I mean, they've just got a million options, which can be a little bit confusing and intimidating, I guess, if you're not familiar with these amps. So we'll try and go through it today and explain everything, but importantly let you hear how it all sounds. So we'll start off on good old channel 1, the clean channel. We're going to go through all the knobs and buttons. There's some stuff on the back that we'll also have a look at in a minute. But we'll just start with the clean sound. I've got a Fender Strat, so it's got single coils and humbuckers. We'll try and do a bit of everything here. So simple clean, nice clean. Everything's at noon, so we're just going to start off there. Obviously we might add a little bit more treble. And I would probably dial the bass back a bit, maybe not that much. Some people call it a bit of a Fender cleanish sort of sound. It is very clean. And we do have a gain knob on the clean channel, so when you push the gain right up, you'll obviously get a volume increase, but you'll also get gain. So we're going to go to the humbucker now. And we're definitely getting some, some distortion, some gain happening there. So what some people do, what I've heard is they will turn the gain pretty high, maybe to that sort of edge of breakup sort of sound, and then they will run the volume either from there, or the other trick is to run the volume flat out, and then your gain knob becomes your volume control. So let's try that. And that certainly sounds like a bit more stuff going on, a bit more body, and I'm assuming that's probably got to do with the volume trick there, just lots of tone going through the tone stack there. So look, we'll put everything back to about 12 o'clock. I'm just going to dial the bass back a tiny bit. All of the Bogner channels on the Ecstasy amps do have 3-way EQ switches. Effectively they're sort of brightness switches. So we're in neutral at the moment. You're literally just hearing the tone controls, but we'll put it into B1. Go back to neutral. And then we've got B2. So it just helps you, fine tune that that tone a little bit more, and that's where I was referring to all of these switches and knobs. Can get a little bit much sometimes, but it's just all about flexibility. This amp is totally about flexibility, and you've got tons of it. So that is the clean channel. We'll move on to the dirty channel. So channel 2 is also known as the blue channel for obvious reasons. And we'll get everything set up around about midday. Gains midday, volumes midday, and the bright switches are disengaged. Now, We've actually got a gain boost on channel 2 and 3. It does need to be set, so you can't turn this off. It's either low or high. I'm going to start off with low mode. We do also have a plexi mode, which can be assigned to either channel 2 or channel 3. I've got it turned off at the moment, but we'll come to that in a moment. So, gain boost is the boost foot switch. So we'll talk about that just in a moment, but let's leave it off for now. Sorry, it's in low, I should say. So if we turn the treble up, and we can turn the mids right up. And we'll turn the bass right up. Probably wouldn't do this in a real situation, but... so all really usable tones. I'm gonna put that just the mids a tiny bit back, and everything's probably on about 1 o'clock there, just for, that's probably close to my sort of live setting there. Let's try some single coils. Single coils are obviously a little bit lower output, so just got to be mindful of that. It does clean up really nicely. So hopefully you hear it's a very responsive amp, really responds to volume really well. The good old gain control, I probably run it, what's that, around about 3 o'clock, and that's really where the, you know, the saturation and the compression comes in. And all the way up. I'm going to back it down to 12 o'clock again, just because I want you to hear this gain boost thing. So we've got the gain boost on low, and hopefully you heard it kick in there, and personally that's why I like to leave the gain boost on low. You know, if I need that extra push over the cliff, if I need it to go to 11, then I can hit the boost switch and pump up the gain rather than, you know, rather than running the normal channel on high gain. I sort of back it down a tiny bit. That sounds good, doesn't it? Yep. So yeah, I sort of leave sort of rock sort of tones. And then kick in the boost if it's needed. I know. Right. So now we are also going to try the plexi channel. So plexi mode we will assign to channel 2. Let me just give you a reminder of what it sounds like. And plexi mode. So it really significantly reduces the gain, but if we turn it right up, that edge of breakup sort of rock, classic rock sort of sound that I was talking about. And then if we hit the boost, there's effectively no boost in there, so maybe you'd want to hit that with a like a pedal or something like that. Let's put the gain boost on high then, because remember we've got plexi and low boost modes, so let's try that. Again, boost is now disengaged, so there's no foot switch coming on, nothing happening there. We will go back to plexi mode. Personally, I like to leave the plexi mode off and then just leave the amp in that sort of rocky sort of area and hit it with the boost switch if I need it. Now the EQs, remember we've got the bright EQ also happening here. So, and then we've got B1, where is it? B1 and B2, I think from memory, do add a tiny bit of gain. So let's check that. And B2. Yeah, B1 is definitely adding more gain. B2, maybe just a tiny bit of gain there. So that is the blue channel. Now the famous red channel. We'll use the foot switch. So EQs, we've heard the EQs, but we'll just quickly go through it again. It does share the same EQ section, channels 2 and 3. Channel 1 has its own EQ section, so you just need to be mindful of that. But you do have an assignable bright switch to channel 3 as well as channel 2. So that's sort of where your fine tuning can come in and where you can make them sound a bit different in the tone part. It's obviously the treble, mids, and bass. So as I said before, going to run the treble and bass about 1 o'clock and the mids about 11 o'clock there. So for a lead channel, gain is on about 12. Obviously it's got a lot more under the hood there, so we'll turn it right up. There's clearly a bit more noise as you would have with any high gain amp. Heaps of sustain, of course, probably a little bit too much for me. I would normally run it probably around about 2 o'clock. And then again, we can do the old boost trick as well. So. So if you do need a bit more, it just gives you a bit more flexibility that way. It's a nice high gain sound at sort of 2 o'clock, but you've got a bit of room to add some more if you need it. We were going to try the bright switches, weren't we? So bright EQ, so this is neutral. We've got B1. And B2. So again, B1 is definitely adding some more gain there. B2 maybe just a tiny bit. And we want to try the plexi mode on channel 3. So again, same sort of thing. It basically takes all the boosts, or probably a couple of gain stages, I'm assuming, out of the channel, You turn the gain all the way up. It's really sort of sounding like a jumpered plexi. So I personally would not be using that, but that's just my taste. It's nice to have that flexibility in there. So, you know, if you were ever doing a session and you needed a plexi sound, well, you've got the plexi sound, it's all there. Listen, we're going to go back to channel 2 because that's probably where most people spend their time, and we'll have a look at the other bits. We have a master section down the end here. The master section is only on when the loop is engaged. We have a nice couple of switches on the back, which is really nice. So we do have a foot pedal, but in case you forget your foot pedal, you can activate the channels on the back with some buttons. What is missing is the boost switch. There is no boost switch, so you do need the foot pedal to activate the boosts. But a couple of knobs and buttons on the back. We've got the effects loop, we've got a return level, and then of course we've got a master volume and a master presence. And then we've got a knob called Excursion, which I think is something sort of in the low end there. We've got 3 values, so it's been sitting on M the entire time, but look, we'll run through those now and you can hear what they sound like. So M, L and T, I always forget what they mean. I think L is loose and T is tight. I honestly can't remember what the M stands for. But let's have a listen to what it sounds like. So we engage the loop. Obviously the light will come on. So that's keep the volume up now. We have the presence. So we'll dial that all the way up. So like most presences, it's just, you know, a little bit more in the top end, makes the top end a bit more active. So yeah, let's try this 3-way switch. So this is M. This is L. And this is T. As with all the ecstasies, the T does give you a tiny drop in volume. So look, you'd never be switching between the 3. It's just a set and forget sort of one. So don't worry about that at all. I personally prefer the M. That's just my preferred setting. And the master volume, of course, does what a master volume does. Controls the overall volumes, so you can set your channels up and then write your master volume at your gig. And turn it up or turn it down as necessary. Finally, a couple of quick switches on the back. We have an old and new switch on the back. I've heard rumours this is a little bit like a sort of pentiode triode switch on the Mesa Boogies, but don't quote me on that. I prefer to run it in the new. Everything you've heard is in the new. But again, this is about flexibility. So if you need that old amp sort of sound, we've got the plexi switch on the front and we've got the old switch on the back. So definitely take you into old 60s and 70s amp sort of tones. So here we go. That's the new sound. And switch it to the old sound. So there's a tiny little bit of difference in gain there. I think it's, you know, it's come down maybe about that much, but when you add in the plexi mode, it'll definitely take you into that plexi territory. Finally, going to go back to old. We do have an output power, so it can go half power, but I'm not going to do that here. And some ecstasies do have an A and AB switch on them. It is an option on the amp. I think I've covered it in some of my other videos. I have never ever heard of anyone using it, which is why now I think Bogner offer it as an option. They don't put it on all the amps. Just, I don't see anyone using it. I've never used it. This one doesn't have it, so I'm not going to demonstrate it here. All right, that is the Ecstasy Classic. Hope this helps.